Well, welcome back to my channel. Cut that out. You know what? It's almost St. Patrick's Day. Yep, we're going to carve a little leprechaun. I've carved a lot of them, and I'm going to show you how to do it step by step, simple little steps, and you can do it. And let's get started. Got our essentials, got our glove, got our piece of wood, got our knife, got our pencil. We're going to start out by making the top rim of our hat. Well, I guess the first thing we're going to start out as is we're going to look at the wood and we're going to decide what would be the best front. So I've decided on this one the grain is nice and straight, and so that's where we're going to make it. So I'm going to make my big old X. Now I'm going to make my line. And we're going to make him with a top hat. So, first thing we're going to start out, as usual, is with the corners. So we're going to take a blade of our knife and just start right there at the corner, lay the blade across the corner, rock it back and forth. Then we're going to come up from above, go and almost cut down to the stop cut. So you notice that space right in there that I just made when I did this, there's a space in there now. When I come down, it closes that off, so that puts pressure on this lower piece of wood. So I'm going to keep taking that back and forth. Same thing over here. Rock it back and forth. Come from up above to almost down there, and it closed that gap. Put pressure down here. So I'm going to go now and do another stop cut. Okay, so now that's made me more corners to start with. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4 all the way around. So now I'm going to start coming down, make my stop cut. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do, you notice up here we got the cube, the square with the corners. So we're going to take off those corners and we're going to do what I call a push cut. The way that I do that is that I start down here at the bottom and I push, and it takes that corner off. I'm going to do the same thing on this corner, take that corner off. Same thing on this corner, take that corner off. Same on this one. Okay, now again, now I've just made more corners, so I'm just going to continue to round that round that off. As you notice, what I kind of do is to take my tip of my knife and I kind of go in kind of in a half circle motion to take that off. And the reason that I do that is because it's really easy to be able to get, like, in between these pieces of wood. I can actually go in, do kind of a push cut in right up against the edge, and then turn my knife and do that, and I can do that all the way around. And that cut will come in handy many, many, many times. Then every once in a while I'm going to look. Now what I'm looking for is not just that it's round. I want to make sure that right here I have the same amount of space as I do over here. Now, right now I have a little bit more space here than I do this space, but that's okay. I'm going to take a little bit more of the wood and get this even on the sides, and once I get done with that, then I'll start evaluating how much more wood I need to take off. See, right here I have a little bit of an indentation, and I don't want that. I want it to be even going up, so I'm going to take that off. Again, I'm making that push, kind of a circular cut. Same here. Push, circular cut. Same all the way around. I want that even. Okay, gonna look up here. Looks pretty, still a little bit more on this side here than this side here, so I'm going to take a little bit more off there. Look again. Here we go. Pretty close. This one's got a little bit of a corner. Now what I'm going to do, it's like right here on this corner here, instead of doing the circular cut, I'm just going to come down, take off that little tiny bit of wood, go around now. Make sure I make that even, get rid of those little divots in here. Because what I'm going to eventually want to do is to do a hat band. Can't talk. And so I have to have that even all the way around. Okay, so there's our little hat. I want a little bit more of a brim, so I'm going to take a little bit more. And it's okay, because usually on top hats, usually the top is a little bit larger than right next to the brim, so it's okay if I take off a little more on the bottom here to make that fan out a little bit. Gives me a little bit more of a brim, the brim of the hat, to work with. Check my spaces, make sure it's pretty even all the way around. It's always nice to have 2 or 3 different kinds of cuts that you can use depending on the situation. Got a little bit of a corner right there. I want to take off, not too much. There we go. It doesn't have to be perfect. Again, this is a caricature, so it doesn't have to be perfect. We don't want anything perfect anyway. Okay, so there's where we have our the top hat, and now we have to make the brim of the hat. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to take and draw a line just below that top line. Okay, so where do we start? Of course, we start at the corners. So we're going to take our knife, rock it back and forth. Now here's where doing an almost cut, almost to the stop cut, is really important. So we're going to roll that there on the corner just a little bit. We're not going to put a lot of pressure. We don't want to pop this corner off yet. And then we're going to come underneath just a little ways, come up almost. See that gap right there close up? Now it's putting pressure on that corner. So we're going to roll it back and forth again, just come underneath a little bit and take out that piece of wood. Do the same thing around all corners. This has saved so much grief by doing the almost cut. I can't tell you. Roll it back and forth a little bit, come underneath. Just want to get a little bit of space underneath the brim of that hat. Same thing here. Take that there, make our stop cut, do our almost cut, rock it back and forth again. You get to where you can take that piece of wood out almost every time with just two cuts. This is going to be an important carving because we're actually going to do a beard. Oh, I guess we did a beard on the hillbilly, but we're actually going to give it some hair. We're going to introduce another tool called a V-tool. And that's what I use to make my hair, mustaches, beards, some other things too, but primarily that's what I use those for. When I make little bears, I use it to make my fur. Okay. Next thing we're going to do is the shoes. So we've done this done this on the hillbilly, but this is the way that I make the shoes. So I'm going to come up, make a line all the way across the front, and then I'm also going to come down about a third of the way on the sides. I'm going to start on the corners, rock it back and forth, come up above, come down to almost line. Same thing. I'm getting that angle, so I'm going to take this. Alright, now I'm going to make my, I should have made, well, you can do it anytime, but, okay, so I want to make my center line, and put it right here. So I'm going to go straight down the middle. Make sure that I've got the even on both sides, and I have a little bit more material on this side, so I'm going to come over just a tad. Come down. Okay. I'm going to go down in a straight line down to the corner of the shoes. Same over here on this side. Okay, so now I got my center line. I've got my side lines. Now what I want to do is I want to make that angle from the sides to the center. So I'm going to start taking wood off towards the center, but I'm not going to take any of this down the middle. Again, I went almost to the brim of the hat, but not quite, so I'm not popping off that piece of wood. It's a very, having control of your knife and knowing where the tip of your knife is at is very important. It's a nice piece of wood, just really cooperative, just very smooth, nice tight grain. By the way, I've mentioned this before, this is basswood. Okay, so now I've got the one side going up to the center. Now I'm going to do the other side. I really enjoy doing leprechauns. They turn out so nice. And they just kind of fit that cartoonish character kind of look, and it's a lot of fun. Okay, so now I can look down my sides here and go, okay, now is this side right here, is it the same as this side? And this side right here could probably use a little more wood taken off. Also looking at the side here, the amount of wood that I have here, I can use my knife. Yep, same amount. Alright. So the thing I'm going to do now is we're going to make the beard. So, like we did with the hillbilly, we're going to come down just a little ways on the side of the wood. We're going to come down. We're going to make our beard. Same thing in the back. We're going to not go down quite so far, but give him a little bit of some long hair. Not too bad. Probably the rest of the little leprechauns won't let him get his hair too long. Okay. So now we can kind of match up these corners here, and this one's just a little bit higher. So I'm going to take it to there. Okay. We're going to take the tip of our knife, dig it into the side here, and I'm gonna angle my knife down, so I'm not going straight in. I actually am going down. So I'm gonna push a little bit hard, keep in control. When I get there to the peak, I'm gonna roll my knife so I don't slip off. Just roll it there. Do the same thing over on this side. Angling my knife down. It's not straight in. Rolling it. Now over here, instead of putting the point of my knife and dragging it, I'm just going to take the whole blade and rock it back and forth. Do the same thing over on the side. Rock it back and forth. Now in the back, I'm going to use the point of my knife because it's just really hard. I'm pushing down so hard on such a lot of wood right here. So I'm going to take and push down. I'm coming up on the corner, so I'm going to roll my knife so that I don't slip off. Make it a little bit deep. Okay, so alright, so I'm going to come underneath, take the tip of my knife, go underneath, get over here a little ways, and push up. I'm going to kind of roll my knife so I don't slip off the corner. I'm going to go a little deeper. Do the same thing on this side. It's always nice to be able to just turn it upside down. Just go up, roll my knife there. Still keeping my knife angled towards the bottom of the carving. Okay, so there's the face. So I'm going to come underneath here and just kind of do a push cut. Come a little bit more. This side, do the same thing. Kind of look at it and see if I'm kind of even. This side right here is a little bit higher than this side. If you can see that, so I'm going to now this is about the time that I strop my blade. So get my leather strop out here. I'm going to lay the blade flat, and I'm going to strop it about 12 strokes in this direction, turn it around, do 12 strokes in the other direction. And I'm ready to go again. Realigns those little micro teeth along the blade. Keeps it nice and sharp so I can get nice clean cuts. Okay, so now I'm going to cross the back. I've already gone a little bit. And I'm going to take and just push up to my almost to the stop cut, Take out a little bit more. Just clean that up. The back here. Okay. Now here's my corners. I'm going to take just right above the corner, I'm going to place my knife, and I'm just going to push up. And I don't want to put a lot of pressure on this corner right here. So I'm just going to go to about right there, and then I'm going to go underneath the hat, rock it back and forth, give it a space for that stress to go. Okay, same thing on this side. And then in between, go up underneath that brim of the hat. Okay, now I'm going to come over to the side. Again, take my knife blade, put it right on the corner, come up underneath the hat. Clean that up. Same thing on this side. Start at the corner, go up underneath. Just kind of take that ridge off. Okay, so there's our face and our head. Pretty cool, huh? Look at that. Pretty cool. All right. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to make the arms. So I'm going to judge about where would be a good place. Now I've got to take in consideration that I'm going to be putting some hands on here. So I'm going to put it about right there. So I'm figuring that's probably, if I make the hands about that size. So here will be my sleeve, and this will be my my hands. So I'll kind of bring that line over so I can line it up on the other side. Okay, a little high, or at least it's angled up. There we go. So I'm going to make my line for the bottom of my hands. Then of course I'm going to draw another line that's going to be the top of the hands. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take and make the cuff of my pants. So I'm going to put my pencil right here in the corner between the foot, by the foot, and go down to the corner in the back. Same thing on this side. Go to the corner on the back. Okay. Now I'm going to take my knife. I'm going to put my blade right across that line, rock it back and forth. I'm going to come up underneath, take out that piece of wood. Now I'm not going to go right to the cut. I'm going to almost to the almost stop cut. Rock it back and forth again. Same thing. So there's my hand. You see that? Okay, I'm going to take a little bit more off. I want it a little deeper than that. A little deeper. I'm going to okay, I think that'll about do it on that side. There we go. Now we're going straight in on this. Always go straight in, so we're not angled, and that you don't have a piece of wood that's angled down. You're going straight in, rock it back and forth, come underneath, come up, going a little deeper each time. Okay, there we go. Now we have our hands on both sides. I'm going to take and right up here in the corner, right of the shoulder, I'm going to make a line, going to come down just that far. I'm kind of looking at this right here and how far this comes in. That's how wide I'm going to make his arm. Same thing on this side. I'm going to come down. Same way as the other side. I'm going to come down and meet that arm where that hand ends. So can you see that? All right. I'm going to take the tip of my knife, just rock it back and forth, take the tip of my knife, come straight down. Now I'm trying to get the tip of my knife to go in to the wood, not quite, but almost that deep, because I want to take out that piece of wood. So if I need to, I can go back and forth a couple of times, because I want that piece of wood to come out hopefully in one cut. So I'm going to come down, I heard it pop, but it's still holding on pretty good, so I'm going to do it again. Again, you don't want to take the tip of your knife any farther than that right there. There it came out. There's just one clean cut right there. Now you might not be able to do that right at first. It might take you a little while, and you might have some little chingas left over, but just work at it, and as we carve more, you're going to be able to get that down. So I'm going to rock that back and forth, take the tip of my knife, just go down. I'm going straight in. I'm going to go straight down here, keeping my knife. Now see where my knife point is? It's almost the same width as that piece of wood. I'm going to do it. Oh, did you hear that pop? That's what I want. Take that piece of wood out. There we go. Look, yep, pretty much the same on both sides. Maybe this side needs to take just a tad more wood off. Yep. And a little bit more down here. Okay. Now I'm going to go back to this line right here. So what I'm going to do is take my knife blade, rock it back and forth. Now I'm going to come underneath that line just a little bit, and I'm going to push over to almost that line, go back, rock it again, come back, rock it back and forth, and that piece of wood just comes right out. And since I'm here, now I've got this little triangle right in here that I need to take out. So I'm going to lay my blade right along that line. I'm not going to go below that line where his pants cuff is, but I'm just going to lay it right above that, and then I'm just going to push up and take that piece of wood out from underneath that hand. There we go. Can you see that? See, this side here has a little bit of some wood right here, and that'll be gone. So I'm going to do the same thing on this side. Go from the back of the cuff, to the front, sitting on the shoe, rock it back and forth, go underneath, push, go back, and there's that piece of wood. And you can kind of see how that takes that cuff out. Now I'm going to lay my knife blade just above that line and take out that little tiny piece of wood and go right up underneath his hand. There we go. Okay, so now you can see how that looks. All look good? Looks awesome. Alright, next thing we're going to do is our hands. So I'm going to take, we've got our line right here. I'm going to take the knife blade, rock it back and forth. I'm going to go just underneath the sleeve, just about that much. I'm just going to take out that piece of wood. I'm not going to try to go real hard because I don't want to pop out any wood up here. I'm just going to go almost to that stop cut, go back, rock it. Okay, see, now I'm separating the hand. Go back over here, the other side, rock it back and forth, come up underneath about this far. Okay, here we go. Now I want to make look like the hand is kind of cupping under just a little bit, so I'm going to go right into the middle of the hand, and I'm just going to take off a little tiny piece of wood, just a little bit, and there we go. See the difference between those two? And this one kind of looks like the fingers are cupped under. Same thing over on this side. There we go. Okay, so there's our hands that are a little bit cupped over. Now I want to actually separate the sleeve from the hand in the front here. So take my knife, just barely rock it back and forth, come underneath, and just separate that. Just a little bit underneath the cuff. There we go. Okay, now we have these kind of sharp ridges right here, so I'm just going to take my knife, come up, just kind of take that corner off. See how my knife was starting to, when I was coming up this way, it was starting to dig into the wood really deep. I knew I was going against the grain, so I pull it out and I go the other direction, and it just smoothly takes that ridge out. I can just go around, take that little ridge off. So now it's rounded off. Same thing on this side. And take that little ridge off. Okay, so there we go. Now on the back corner, I'm just going to take that corner off. Same thing on the other side. Just round that over just a little bit. Okay. Going to do the same thing here as I did on the front. Going to take and draw me a little line right here. Now I want to keep as much of this material as possible. I don't want to make these really skinny arms. I want to keep some wood there. So I'm going to come down just like I did in the front. And take the tip of my knife, just roll it down, just push a little bit. Tip of my knife down. Now I could have drawn a line right there on this, but I just know about how much wood I want to take out. So there we go. So there's my arm. Same thing on the side here. Gonna rock it back and forth a little bit. And I know that I don't want to go clear to the line because that's not straight. So I'm just going to go down Same thing here. I can see right here that that's going to connect because the woods are still there, so I'm just going to push in there a little bit. There's that piece of wood, comes right out. Okay. And just round off that real sharp ridge. You see how I changed I started to go down this way, and I started to go into the wood. So I knew I was going against the grain, so I had to pull out. Okay. Now I've got this little piece of wood right here that I need to get rid of. So I'm just going to do that. Take that little piece of wood out right there. Go straight down. Take that out. Okay. I just kind of straighten that up just a little bit. You able to look at it? Yeah. I'm not pushing in real hard. I'm just wanting to take out a little tiny sliver of that wood. Okay. So I got some ridges right here that I just want to round over because I want to be able to draw. So I'm going to just round that off just a little bit. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do a coat. Coats are fun. Okay, so what I'm going to do is to take and I'm going to draw. I want a space in between the coat. I don't want it to meet. Now I have to decide: do I want the coat to go all the way to his feet, like a top coat, or do I want a kind of a suit coat looking? And I actually think I want a suit coat look. So I'm just gonna go down, and then I'm gonna make a turn. And I'm going to go underneath his hands. And over here on this side, I'm going to come down. And I'm going to turn and go underneath his hands. Alright. So now I'm going to take the tip of my knife. I'm going to follow that line. Now actually, my knife is going slanted in towards his belly instead of straight in. So I've got my knife blade kind of angled there, and my knife blade angled in again towards his belly and coming around. Okay, so now I have to go to the back, so I'm going to go underneath his hands and across the back. Okay. So now on the back, all I have to do is just rock that back and forth, come underneath a little bit, take out, bring that coat out. Since I'm over here, I'm going to separate my legs. So I'm just going to draw a line down there. I'm going to take my blade, angle it in towards the center, angle it in towards the center, and separate those legs. So there we've got the separation in the legs. And then I can kind of round off that coat a little bit if I want to. Take out a little bit of that edge. And watch that you're not going against the grain. So you can just take off that ridge just a little bit. Okay. Same thing with the arms. These are real sharp edges right there, so I'm just gonna round that off a little bit. Same thing on that side. Just round it off a little bit. Just get rid of that saw mark. just a sliver, take it off. The reason I do that is when we paint it, it's going to be darker if that's if it's got those saw marks there. So I'm going to just take a little sliver of that arm, turn it around, get that there. Okay. All right. So I'm going to separate the coat from the front. So I'm just going to take the tip of my knife, go in, take out that little tiny sliver. Just a little sliver, take that out. Take that out below his coat. Okay. I'm just going to take out that ridge right there. Okay, next thing I want to do is I want to put in a belt. So most of the time about where the cuff of the suit coat goes is where I'll make the top line of my belt. Okay, so there's the top line of my belt, and right below that, about what seems reasonable, I'm going to make another line, and there's my belt. This is going to be really easy to carve out. So we're just going to take the tip of our knife, roll it back and forth. Try not to hit the coat on the other side, but just roll it back and forth, come up above it, just take out a sliver. You just want to separate that belt. From the rest. And now what we're going to do is we're going to separate our legs in the front. So we're going to make our little V, come right down. There's already a line there. Take my knife, just press in a little bit, then just take out that little tiny piece of wood below it. Again, you don't want to take a whole lot of wood below it, because then it looks a little bit risque when you take too much off. Now I'm going to take the tip of my knife and just go down that line. Guess what I'm going to do? When I get to the edge, I'm going to roll. Roll. Now I'm going to just push in, take that, angle towards the center. Guess what? There's my separation of the legs. Now since there is still some wood in between the legs, I'm going to make it so that there's, you can see the shoes a little bit. If your hand gets tired, you need to take a break, that's fine. Set it to the side and come back and do a little more. Okay. I'm going to take the corner off this back pant cuff a little bit. Same thing over here. That's a nice thing about doing it on YouTube, is that you can go back and finish it up, and work a little while, and go get something to eat or something, and then come back to it. Okay. So on these shoes, notice that we have a kind of some sharp corners right there. So I'm just going to take a little tiny bit of those corners off and just round that off a little bit. You got a little bit of wood right there, and needs to come off. Okay, so there's our shoes and our leprechaun, and it's coming along fantastic. All right, now we're going to do the face. So on a leprechaun, usually a leprechaun has a beard, but it doesn't have a mustache. So we're not going to do a mustache. So we're going to do the beard, but before we do the beard, we're going to do the nose. So we're going to figure out that the head is into the hat about that far. So our nose is going to be more, instead of the middle, it's going to be up closer towards the towards the top of the head. Maybe that's a little too close. Come down just a little tiny bit. We're going to scrub those pencil marks off, so it doesn't really matter. All right, so now we're going to take the tip of our blade, lay it right across that line, and roll it. Just roll it. And then come up underneath a little bit, just a little bit. Take out that piece of wood. Okay. Now we're going to make our triangle. We want to, again, we want to keep, we want quite a bit of material. We don't want a little tiny nose. So we can always take off a little bit, but can't glue it back on very easy. So take the tip of our knife, dig in right underneath the brim of the hat, come down, take the tip of our knife, put it right there in the corner of the nose, and just push up. Don't put a lot of pressure. We don't want to take off this wood yet. And then just come down and take out that little piece of wood. Same thing on this side. Take the tip of our knife, come down side of our nose, roll it, stick our knife tip right there, come up underneath the brim of the hat, take out that little piece of wood. It might take you some more cuts to do that, but there's our nose. Now we're going to go right to the tip of our nose, right at the tip of the nose, and we're going to push up and just kind of take off the very top ridge of the nose. And just kind of round that nose off a little bit. All right. Kind of clean that up a little bit. Okay. So now, everywhere where there's a little bit of a ridge, I'm going to take that off and smooth that out. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make our beard. So we're going to go the side of our face. We don't want to go too far towards the nose, because we want some material in there, some wood in there to make our eyes. So I'm going to go almost, not quite around the face, but just before I go around the face, I'm going to go straight down over here. Look at it, make sure it's about even on both sides, same with the material. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down just like a leprechaun beard would do. Try to get that to meet right there in the middle. Okay, so there's our beard. So I'm going to take the tip of my knife, just dig down just a little bit. Same thing here. Dig down just a little bit. Dig down just a little bit. Dig down just a little bit. Okay, and starting here, I'm just going to take out a little tiny sliver of wood. Little tiny sliver of wood there. Little tiny sliver of wood there. And a little tiny sliver of wood there. Okay. So there we go. And then I'm just going to round that round it off a little bit. Alright, so there's our leprechaun beard. Looks like it needs just a little more right there. Okay, and then I'm going to blend in. I'm going to just kind of go across that line. Just blend that beard in just a little bit. Just round it over a little bit. Okay. A little chinga sitting down there. Okay, so there's our face. Now I'm going to just kind of round off the corners of the nose just a little tiny bit. Okay. Just clean that up a little bit. All right. Now, of course, we want to make this a happy face, so I'm gonna draw a little smile right here. Draw a little smile. Okay. There's our smile. I'm just going to take the tip of my knife. Just follow that line. Don't put too much pressure, so that you keep control of the tip of that knife. Okay. So there we go. And I'm just going to go underneath, take the tip of my knife, and just take that sliver of wood out there. Okay. Sliver of wood. There we go. So there's our happy little leprechaun. Okay. All right. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to take off these corners and round off this brim. As you can see, leprechauns do not have square brims, but we don't want to take off too much either. So we're going to take our knife, just barely take those corners off. Just barely. You can see how easy those come off. Okay. And then we've got these other corners that need to be taken off, so we're just going to follow that around and take off those corners. Don't have to take off hardly any wood at all. Just little tiny slices, little tiny ones, just to round those corners off. All right, there's the brim of our hat. Next thing we're going to do is to do our hat band. Now, what's funny is that didn't seem like a whole lot of wood when we started making the top hat, but look how long that top hat ended up being. So, in order to make a top hat, we're going to go all the way around and make our hat band. And there we go. So there's our hat band. And yeah, okay. So this is pretty easy. Just take our blade of our knife, put it right there on the line, and then just roll it. Just roll it around, press a little bit, just a little bit of pressure. We don't want to go too deep. We just want to bring out that hat band. Hat band's usually something like a ribbon or something, so we don't need it to be too deep. And we're just going to go up above, just take out a little tiny sliver, little sliver. All the way around. Don't put too much pressure. You don't want to take out the wood of the headband or the hat band. Just want to take a little tiny sliver, thin slice. Okay. And go around and take out those little pieces of wood there. Okay. Look at the top there and see kind of what needs to come out. Okay, so there we go. Well, what'd you think? Thank you for coming to my channel. Cut that out. It's a lot of fun for me to teach you how to do these little carvings, and as we go along we'll get more advanced and show different techniques, different staining, different painting, just a lot of variety of so many things that I've learned over the years, and it's an opportunity for me to be able to pass it on to you so that you can do it and enjoy wood carving or whittling as much as I have. So anyway, stay tuned. If you like this video, please hit the like button, leave some comments. Also subscribe and hit the little bell icon. So anyway, I'll see you later.